All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth, title forever in the works. I will be basically sponsoring the show today, and so on and so forth. No fancy tagline. I just want to kind of give my initial thoughts to a situation that's going on. So let's go ahead and get right into it, because I got a few of these I might have to record back to back to back, like Drake. First off, well, what I'm speaking on is the situation that happened yesterday, I believe. Yeah, yesterday. Today's the 14th of April. So on April 13th, DSP has a major crash out, which was pretty amusing, to be honest with you. He had a pretty major crash out over Demon Souls, but it evolved into a bunch of other things. It evolved into, how he admitted that he based all of his early playthroughs, well, all of them in general, all of his playthroughs are compromised because he basically was on gamer PEDs and shit, or PEDs, gamer performance enhancing drugs, i.e. hand holding or hoof holding, whether by people behind the scenes that were sending him information, him buying strategy guides, or Pandali helping him, even though you were supposed to be playing all these games yourself. You know what I'm saying? No bullshit, so on and so forth. You know, you remember what his channel tagline was. But truth be told, he was being handheld, at least for most games, from the jump. And that's one of the reasons why he's being so defensive about it. We'll get to that. He also basically admits that he copied the angry video game nerd, and he named one other person. He basically said, hey, one person was doing a bunch of skits and stuff with pop culture. The angry video game nerd was doing it with, like, you know, like retro games and so on and so forth. I decided to do it with this impromptu playthrough nonsense. No, you just copied their whole style and you just used it for another medium. You still copied them, just like the Howard Stern shit. He decides to admit to that nonsense. Fantastic. Peak peak work on that one, Phil. I love that one. Then he transitions over to his usual, oh, why are you wasting all of your time watching this content? You're going to realize you wasted your life, this, that, and the third. It's almost like he doesn't understand that it's a 2-hour video. It was a 2-hour video out of your day, not even out of your life per se, but out of your day. It doesn't mean anything more than that. And like, people couldn't multitask. Watching the footage or watching the video is great, but you can listen to it in the background and still grasp it, I think. So him putting all this emphasis on that is kind of crazy, especially since you're the person, meaning DSP, you want these people to show up to your streams every day and spend what, 8 to 12 hours of their day with you? Which one do you think is the bigger waste of life? Oh, because supposedly you put out like positive content that's meaningful and all. Fuck all that. They should be out there either working jobs or going to school and bettering themselves, not wasting their time watching your trash. Let's just call a spade a spade. Then he goes into, this whole fucking weird ass synopsis on, if it wasn't for him, Maximilian, Markiplier, and I'll just throw PewDiePie in there, but he didn't name him, and PewDiePie, they wouldn't have the groundwork of what not to do if it wasn't for him. When theoretically most of those guys were around at the same time, and they chose not to do a bunch of fucking racist, sexist, and other lame ass bullshit, treating their audiences like pieces of garbage and all that. They chose not to do that because maybe that's just not the right thing to do. If you want to build a viewer base, a fan base, and an audience, maybe that's just me. I don't know. But he tried to put himself on the fucking cross and say he allowed himself to be crucified for them, which is retarded. And then someone calls him out and says, hey, don't you think it's weird for a grown-ass man in his mid-late 20s trying to basically make content for kids and for teenagers? Oh, well, the angry video game nerd did it. The other guy did it. You know what I'm saying? So I was just doing what they were doing. But I'm pretty confident that's not what they were trying to do. I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel that way. It sounds like a weird type of grooming type bullshit. That's what it kind of seems like, to be honest. He showed his ass through that whole thing. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about all that later, because there's so much to break up. I'll split it up into a bunch of videos and shit, because so much to fucking break down. Holy shit. Anyway, the main reason why you guys are here is because I want to talk about at least what, not so much the Demon Souls situation, but what I want to see come from it. And the reason why that is, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the many taglines I have over here, is the way DSP does anything is the way he does everything. And he's proving it with how he's handling this Demon Soul situation. Just ignore it. If it's 13 years old and whatever the fuck, and it was so long ago, and you've played so many other Demon Soul games or Dark Soul games or remasters of those games, and you've had multiple, second runs, third runs, redemption runs, or whatever the fuck, then let it all go. Just be like, oh, okay, if they made a video on me, they made a video on me, and just leave it alone. But he can't. And initially I was thinking, well, he's got more riding on this than I'm giving him credit for, but I'm gonna need a little bit of time to actually figure it out. On my second watch of this Demon Soul documentary, I got it. It's basically, well, I got partial of it. Initially, I was thinking he's treating the shit like the WWE Champions bullshit, and it's gonna burn him. But it's not gonna burn him in the exact same way, because there's not gonna be a Kino Casino that's gonna come out and expose it. I don't think Asmongold will care. He might bring it up. He might talk about it if it gets enough traction, but it's not enough for Asmongold to want to talk to him again and then bring that up. So I was like, he's basically treating this shit like the WWE Champion situation. So now, how is this all going to play out? That's the point of all this. The second time I watched it, I think I got it. So essentially, he's basically looking at it as, you guys shouldn't care about this. Leave it alone. You're pathetic. You're losers. This, that, and the third, whatever. People in his audience, unlike the WWE Champion situation, are like, well, who cares if you cheated, Phil? Why are you lying about it? So they were calling him out and saying, hey, we're pretty confident that you're lying about this. The documentary is very well made, and it cuts him off at all angles. I talked about that on stream. So if it doesn't mean anything, Phil, just come out and fess up and say that you were using the duping glitch, and then move on. DSP don't want to do it, and there's a bunch of reasons for that, but it really kind of stems back to the WWE Champion situation. He looks at it as detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, and his dents, theoretically, have no way of boxing him in. So he'll just say whatever the fuck he wants to say, and then he's already laid down the groundwork for being an alcoholic, and he was alone and a loser and all this bullshit. So if he did end up using the duping glitch, maybe he did do it, maybe he didn't. He doesn't remember doing it. Explain to him how it works, and he'll tell you if he did. Like, all that contradiction was crazy. But he's already laying down the fact that he was an alcoholic. So he may have blacked out 4 nights out of that week that he was doing all this bullshit. And maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. That's what he's going to use as his out later, which is similar with what he did with WWE Champions.
To do, and I used to drink. So I used to have like a giant rum and coke, like I told you guys, like this big giant cup of rum and coke. It was like rum and coke zero, and I would drink this while grinding away at a game. I remember doing this in Blue Dragon. I remember doing this in Demon Souls. There's a few different games. Oh, Bloodborne, I did this as well. My first run in Bloodborne. All these, I did exactly the same thing, where I would play the game during the day, and then I would grind at night. Okay. So, particularly, now I couldn't tell you exactly where I grinded in Demon Souls except one part, because I remember doing it so often that I actually remember this by heart. It was the entry level, whatever world had the rolling skeleton guys. So whatever world has the rolling skeleton guys, that was the one. I would just run through the map, killing all the skeletons, and going through and killing everything like real quick. And then I would just, end it and then go back in. And do it again, and then end it, and then go back in. And I just kept doing it over and over and over for hours on end. I mean, I'm talking, there were probably nights where I finished streaming, and then I immediately started doing this, and it was kind of like a passive thing. Yeah, I was kind of paying attention, but I was watching a show at the same time. And I would do it for a long time. Like, those days, I probably would be up till like 4 or 5 in the morning. Seriously. Like, I would be so unhealthy. I'd be up drinking and shit, and then passing out at some point, So, and this would go on all week. It wasn't like, oh, I did it one day. It'd be like, I play the game and then I grind, and I play the game and then I grind. So over the course of probably the week I was playing Demon Souls, I grinded like every night and just gained an insane amount of, souls doing that. And that's it. Like, that's really all there is to it.
In that, he's going to use his alcoholism as one of the crutches. The other crutch, though, is going to be, well, I thought it was a dumbass thing to have to fess up to, and I was hoping you guys were going to let it all go. So I kept lying because I was hoping you were going to give it all up. You guys know where that came from, right? That came from the WWE Champions excuse. You know what I'm saying? And yet again, because that video is doing well and it's continuing to do well, he's got to hold on to his bullshit narrative about you guys are losers. It was 13 years ago. Who really cares if I duped or not? It wasn't a speed run or whatever the fuck. Who gives a shit? The reality is that according to a little bird or two, maybe, that video may be starting to get passed around, if it hasn't already, is going to be passed around amongst some people in the Demon Souls and Dark Soul speedrunning community, or people who are just Demon Soul or Dark Soul enthusiasts. And some of them may start looking at the video or may even watch it. And they may want to say something about it or may not. DSP needs to try to squash this out now before a much larger and a much more influential content creator decides to do a reaction to it on stream or something and be like, oh yeah, he definitely cheated. He definitely cheated. Yeah, that video is definitely all on the mark. That hasn't happened yet, but it could. And then what is DSP going to do? You're going to call a fucking much bigger content creator a nudnik and you shouldn't have believed them and this, that, and the third? In some ways, one can make the argument, if he had the brain capacity to do this, of course, if his brain wasn't completely pickled, that he could be using this as bait to have a much larger content creator talk to him, and then he can go ahead and give his sob story on online bullying and all this bullshit. One could say that, but that's not what's going on. He's completely and utterly in defense mode. He thinks that there's enough groundwork that will let him get away with this, or it'll ease the blow. He's willing to plead out to lesser charges, I suppose, if one can make that argument. And that's what the play is going to be. But this is going to end up like WWE Champions, except for worse. Instead of all of the money that he blew on this fucking mobile game, which I also want to bring this out, or I want to point this out, that keep in mind, he was playing multiple other games as well, and we haven't found those accounts yet. And more importantly, we don't know what he spent on those. We know for sure that WWE Supercard and WWE Champions he spent the most money on. But who knows? He could have easily have dropped tens of thousands of dollars on, you know, those other gacha games that he was playing. The Dragon Ball Z game, the Final Fantasy game, and, you know, so on and so forth. So we should keep that in mind moving forward. Excuse me. But as it pertains to this situation going on currently, if it comes out, or if it's proven, and this is if anybody else decides to pick up Cat Roller's going by a new channel name, but I'm just gonna go with that for now. If anybody picks up the baton that Cat Roller has done, or Cat Roller continues to investigate DSP's old Demon Soul and or Dark Soul runs, because there were duping glitches in some of those games too, to my understanding. The PS4 version, well, the PS3 version and the PS4 version, or PS3 and PS5 version, one is something like that. If they end up going back and investigating and be like, hey, he did this too, then how's DSP going to play that? Now, right now, DSP's main narrative is, I've grinded the games out. I did grind, I did go in over leveled, sue me. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't dupe. But the reality is you grinded the dupe glitch so you could over level, because there was no way you could have grind to get all of those, to get those levels the way you're saying you're doing. There's no way you did that in 4 days or 5 days or whatever the fuck. So he's already got himself like basically pinned in. You know what I'm saying? He's got himself completely and utterly stuck, and he has to hope. He's got to hope that a bigger content creator doesn't pick this shit up. And amongst, you know, Demon Souls and Dark Souls, it's a very popular game and has a very voracious fan base. And they love, oh my God, they love pointing out fucking cheaters in their shit. For real. Especially when they don't have to actually go back and do the footwork if someone already presents it to them. Like I said, DSP hasn't gotten to that point yet, but there are those, let's say good Samaritans, if you will, behind the scenes that are already, you know, getting people to look at it and see what's what. Hell, I've even sent the video to Asian GTG, because he's played Demon Souls and Dark Souls, just to get his opinion, just to see what he thinks. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. And then I'll let you know, because one of you guys made a request for Asian GTG to be willing to put on some type of outfit, and I haven't heard a response from him yet, but I'll let you know if anything. I'll let you know if anything on that. But in any case, holy shit. In any case, cosplay is something for y'all, if you will. But in any case, I want DSP to fight this. I want DSP to fight this shit tooth and fucking nail. I want him to have the Demon Soul community and Dark Soul community come down on his bitch ass and be like, yeah, you faked that shit and whatnot. Just fess up to it. It's a 13-year-old game. It is what it is. You try to put that online like you were discovering everything on your own and all this bullshit. Go ahead and do it. One of DSP's excuses, actually, is that, oh, you guys aren't living in the realm of reality. I was there. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I did was in the video or in the videos. You can go back and watch it. But that's not true. You admitted that after you recorded for your videos, you went ahead and decided to grind each and every night. So there's a huge part of it missing. That's the reality. That's where the basis of all this comes from. You're admitting to doing shit off of the recording to essentially enhance the gameplay. You can go ahead and hide behind the idea that you were grinding, but the truth is you were duping. I think you tried, in my personal opinion, I think he tried grinding at first, and then he found out that duping was a thing and was like, well, fuck, I'm going to dupe this shit then. Fuck it. Why am I going to keep doing this dumb, you know what I'm saying, moronic bullshit when I can go ahead and dupe and this, that, and the third? And I'll just go ahead and tell people that I grinded. Now, most people would say, well, what took so long? Like, how did it take so long for people to discover this? The reality is that's not even really true. People were calling him out on this bullshit back then, that he was either duping or he was grinding or both. You know what I'm saying? He's been fighting these allegations for years. It's just been really, really quiet until someone was able to compile the evidence. And as it pertains to cheating, people love exposing a cheater. Let's go to the Call of Duty community, for example. And there's a lot of cheating that goes on over there. But let's talk about two people from the Call of Duty Zombies community that should be mentioned. Mr. Darley and what's his name? Fuck. Oh, and Syndicate, the guy who went up against Wings and beat his ass and shit. Both of those guys have been caught cheating in the past. They were called out basically at the time that their videos came out for whatever the thing they were particularly doing. And it took years for people to actually really sit back and be like, damn, y'all really did it. With DSP, he didn't even have the luxury of that. He was just an irrelevant piece of shit who was lucky to, as usual, skirt across, like just slide through the cracks, even though he was already being called out for that shit. You know what I'm saying? It just took a while, and it took another generation or two of detractors to come to pass before someone decided to make this. And I'm hoping that other people go back and look at his other runs, the older ones though, the prehistoric ones, and see if there's any evidence or proof that he duped or cheated in those things too, and whatnot. I want to see his entire old catalog, basically the foundation of his quote-unquote online gaming career, be dismantled. I want that shit. I want that shit. Just like, you know what I'm saying, I'm hell-bent on proving that his FGC fucking background is bullshit. I want people to fucking start, I'm looking forward to it, I should say. I'm looking forward to seeing people dismantle that bullshit. And it's obvious that he, you know what I'm saying, was using guides or people were hand holding him behind the scenes and all that bullshit. But this Demon Souls thing is massive. You know what I'm saying? It may not seem much to DSP. He's trying to diminish it just so he can get away with it, which is amazing when you think about it. But the reality is, if that right there comes under fire, then everything else is on the table. Everything else can be diminished, can be scrutinized, can be dismantled. All because this fucking mongoloid couldn't just admit that, hey, you have a gambling addiction and you spent, you know what I'm saying, damn near $200,000 on fucking WWE champions, if not more than that. I don't even know if we have the true amount that he spent on that shit. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do. And that's why DSP fought that shit. And now you've got an audience who are basically saying, hey, we don't care if you did or not. Just admit it. Just say you did. And then we'll move on. So now DSP doesn't even have the backing that he had during the WWE Champions arc. Because during the WWE Champions arc, people were like, well, okay, if you did it, if you did do it, then just fess up to it and we'll just keep it pushing. Well, I didn't do it. They're all fucking mentally ill. It didn't happen. It didn't. It's not in reality. Then it comes out that it did, and then all them people flocked because they were like, man, I'm not going to sit around and listen to you lie to me for years on it. And this whole situation with the Demon Souls is the same way. There are people slowly starting to trickle the fuck out because it's WWE champions all over again. And it's even more stupid, to be honest with you. Just admit it. Just let it go. But he won't. Because DSP's ego's too big. It's way too big. And then I still think there's something else tied to this that we haven't discovered yet. There's something that we're missing that that hasn't come about yet, and that's why he's defending this shit the way it is. Because if not, you know what I'm saying, outside of his ego, of course, just let this shit go before this shit blows up into something serious. And he's been talking about it for like 3-4 straight days. You know what I mean? I have at least 3 days of him complaining about this. He had the blow up he had on the 13th yesterday. Then he had what happened on the 12th, and then someone brought it up to him right around the time the initial Dark Souls documentary came out. So he's been already fighting on this front for about 3 days, give or take. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, does he really have another year or two of WWE Champions defense in him? No, he don't. Nah, he don't. And the last thing he needs is a normie that's outside of all this silly shit to come through and be like, yeah, I've played a lot of Dark Souls. I got a channel built around it. Dark Souls and Demon Souls. Yeah, he did that shit. Because that's all they have to say. They don't have to say, you know, crucify that pig. You know what I'm saying? Skewer him in anything. Let's have a luau with him. It's just like, yeah, after seeing the documentary, yeah, the math is mathing. That's all he needs to dismantle all that bullshit. And just another notch on the belt, if you will, or another lash across his baby backs. That, yeah, you're a lying cheater. You know what I'm saying? You're all that. And that's what it really comes down to. He's a liar. He's a cheater. He's a thief. You know what I'm saying? You're the very thing that you accuse your detractors of being, a criminal. And I think that's what scares him more than anything. And that's why he's trying to fight this shit so hard. You know what I mean? I mean, hell, even yesterday he said, yeah, I lie to people. Well, first he says he wasn't lying. Then he follows that up, because that's what DSP do. Yeah, I lied. Yeah, I lie to people. I have to sometimes. You know, that's what it means to be an online person. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But yet again, in DSP's head, well, everybody else has to be doing it, so that justifies me doing it. No, you're mentally fucking ill. You can navigate a conversation. If there's a question that you don't want to answer, don't answer it. Say, I'm not going to answer that. Or ignore it. Don't lie. But remember, an answer is an answer. Doesn't matter if it's the truth or not, an answer is still an answer. And now he wonders why no one trusts him. There's even people, even the deads are running with this shit saying, just admit it. You know what I'm saying? We've seen most of them have seen the documentary. It's very well done. It basically cuts you off at the knees out on all defensive fronts. You know what I'm saying? Just admit that you did and let's move on. But DSP can't give it up. And that's what I want. I want this to be, you know what I'm saying, essentially WWE Champions 2.0 with far larger stakes. That's what I'm hoping for. Holy fuck, that's what I'm hoping for. Because it's just lying for the sake of lying. And that's where I think DSP is at mentally at this point. We don't care if there's consequences anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll lie, he's lying just to hold on to what little piece of his, I guess, legacy that he feels still has value to him. He can't afford mentally to have that taken away from him or diminished or whatever. So, and it's clear, as far as I'm concerned, he's watched the documentary himself. He's seen how he got exposed. And I think in the back of his fucking oddly shaped head, he was thinking to himself, fucking A, I've cheated at a bunch of other shit too. I've used dupe glitches or exploits and a bunch of other games too. And if I concede to this, I'm conceding that everything else in my catalog is fraudulent. And as much of a nothing burger as that is, this is the same mongoloid who's still quick to say, oh, I played that game. Here's the playlist on my channel. Go to my channel, search this in the fucking search bar, and you can find it. I played through the whole thing. Well, how many of those games are actually legitimate?
I will say this, you know, back in the day, I always fessed up to this, is that what I used to do is if it was a brand new game, okay, when I picked up that game from GameStop, I would buy the strategy guide very frequently. And I would use the guide to basically enhance my playthrough so that I could find all the items, or I could find like the items I need, or to know how to beat a boss if I get stuck. I would have the strategy guide. This was very common back in the day, basically until I stopped physically picking up games. Okay, so that would have been when I moved here, actually. I was physically picking up games weekly for a very long time, out 2008 all the way through like 2014. But then when I moved out here, I stopped picking up the games from GameStop and got everything digitally. So I stopped basically getting the strategy guides. And then everything was like a cold run online. It's live stream, you know? But a lot of the times back in the day, I would absolutely get the strategy guide and use that as part of my playthrough. If I got stuck or I didn't know what I was doing, I wouldn't necessarily just sit there and read the guide ahead of time, but I would absolutely use it during my run, but I wouldn't tell anyone. So you guys wouldn't know, oh, Phil's using the guide. So there would be like a boss I'm stuck on. I'd take a break from filming, go read the guide, come back, and then beat the boss. You know, that definitely happened. And I fessed up to that over the years, for sure.
Like, how many of those things, he calls it a cold playthrough, which is something that basically cheaters say. You know, no one just says, oh, I played the game cold. You know what I'm saying? Or I wasn't, or that was pre-prepped. You know what I'm saying? Either you played the game or you played that game with fucking PEDs. Which one was it, Phil? And then his excuse for that is, oh, well, what if I did, you know, have some help with it? I wanted to play the game as quickly as possible. Well, all those guys, for the most part, were playing that shit legitimate, or they were at least front-facing about what they were using to help them navigate through the games. You were just blatantly cheating. And DSP widely being known as a liar is already well established. Now we're about to get the cheater shit in there. He definitely can't take that blow. And then he's already a thief too, because he had already stolen other people's fucking gimmicks and shit like that, which that's already cemented into his jacket as well. You know what I'm saying? This is ugly, boy. This is ugly. If this, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm not saying this shit requires any level of delicacy or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But if this shit is played just right, periodically, I'm thinking long game here. If this shit is played just right, we could get a crash out even better than the WWE champion nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And his viewership is already diminishing. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're into the low hundreds at this point. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, hundreds, because he can maintain about 200, 300 people. Just imagine what happens when people find out that he was cheating at all those early gameplays. You know what I'm saying? And then what's he going to say about that? Oh, well, you guys help me now. You know what I'm saying? You guys were, you know, you guys are, you know, we're a community, right? You guys are helping me through these playthroughs now. So what's the problem? But you said back in the day that you were completely and utterly isolated. You were a one-man army doing it all on your own. Now you're saying that you're not. Now you're saying that you were compromised from the get-go, which goes back to the way DSP does anything is the way he does everything. That's why I'm really hoping for WWE Champions 2.0 crash out. It could be interesting. It could be interesting. Anyway, those are my initial thoughts over this whole Demon Souls thing. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And he's boxed in. Like, he's like, you could tell just off yesterday's stream, he was done. He was bargaining basically at that point. We were going through the fucking stages of fucking grief in that motherfucker. Damn near. Because he was at a point where he was like, okay. Let's say that I did do it, or whatever, or you know what I'm saying, or there is, you know, whatever evidence or proof that I did this. Does it really mean anything? Like, just come on, admit it. But like I said, he's mentally ill, and it's a compulsion. It's a compulsion. Just like when I did nothing wrong, I did everything correct. That's not a meme, or it's not just a meme, I should say. This is a compulsion that a mentally ill autistic man has, and he can't give it up. He can't give it up. And he's thinking, he should be thinking, hey, I don't need another WWE champion situation. I need to get this up and out of here. But he won't. But he won't. And all it's going to do is cascade into all this other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Especially as it pertains to his early gaming career and how much of a fraud that he was. I love that shit. I love that shit. So I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, what do you guys think? How do you guys feel? Like I said, there's a bunch of other things that were in there. I'll cut all those up and turn those into individual shit, because it deserves it. It's really wild how he chose to react to, and some of the statements that he made. Just crazy, crazy shit. But in any case, let me know what you guys think. How do you guys feel? This has been, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease. Like I said, Phil, what you should do is just keep fighting it. Keep fighting it. And matter of fact, what you should also do is react to the documentary itself and watch it all the way through, and then go ahead and try to use your excuse about how, oh, you know what happened after the 2-hour documentary? It's not 2 hours. I don't think so. Pretty sure it's not 2 hours. It's close, but it's not there. But after an almost 2-hour documentary, he came to the realization that it didn't happen the way he says it did, but he had to put it out because he sunk so much time in it. He basically tried to accuse Cat Roller of being a victim of the cost fallacy, right? Or sunken cost fallacy, and he had to put it out because if not, he would wasted his life. Insane, absolutely insane. But I love it though. I love that shit. So keep it going, Phil. You're winning. You don't even know it yet, but you're winning. I'll tell you, you're winning. And whatnot. Just like how Duty's chilling over there with fucking wings, I'll tell you right now, you're winning, buddy. Just go ahead and keep the fight up just a little bit longer, and you're gonna be okay. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.